Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are putting on our hard hats and getting tactical. We're trying to cut through all that vendor noise around big concepts like AI, like digital transformation, and go straight to the people on the ground.
The CIOs, yeah. The ones who are actually signing the checks and, delivering the results.
Exactly. And we have this incredible stack of insights from a summit with some major enterprise tech leaders.
That's right. I mean, these are CIOs who have steered companies through huge growth, IPOs, major industry disruption. Some of them have been in that top tech seat for, 10 years or more?
So our mission today is pretty simple. We want to skip the high-level theory and get right to the practical, battle-tested wisdom.
The blueprint.
The blueprint, yeah, for how you actually implement this stuff when, failure is not an option. We're going to be looking at voices like Elvina Antar, former CIO at Zora and Okta.
And Mira Rajavel, the CIO of Palo Alto Networks.
Plus Sharon Mandell from Juniper Networks.
And what really stands out right away is just the sheer depth of their experience. I mean, you take Elvina. She spent 6 years at Zora.
Right, building the tech for the subscription economy.
Exactly. And then she moves on to lead IT at Okta. And Mira, she came at it from a totally different angle, product engineering architecture.
Her focus was cybersecurity.
For over a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah, she led IT for 3 different pure security companies.
And then you've got Sharon Mandell, a serial CTO and CIO. She came from the media industry, which I find fascinating.
Newspapers, television, that high-speed environment.
Yeah. And she brought that adaptability into enterprise tech. It's also mentioned she took intentional breaks in her career for her daughter's life.
Which I think says a lot. These aren't just technologists. They are, seasoned business strategists who are playing the long game.
Okay, so let's unpack that. Before we dive into the big strategy around Gen AI, I want to stick with those personal details for a second, because I think they reveal a person's real philosophy. What are the gadgets these leaders are using when they are not running the enterprise?
It's a great question because it really separates the professional from the personal. So Alvina, who builds these massive, scalable enterprise systems for a living,
right?
She uses the Oculus.
The Oculus. For, fitness routines?
Not at all. Pure fun. VR poker, and get this, VR karaoke.
VR karaoke, I love that. That is a commitment to fun, a total disconnect.
A full disconnect strategy, yeah.
Yeah.
And then you contrast that with Mira Rajavel. Her professional life is intense cybersecurity, right? All data.
So our personal tech is probably similar?
Exactly. It reflects that same data-driven discipline. She uses a Garmin and this whole integrated software system to meticulously track everything. Her wellness, her eating, her sleep, all while she's training for a marathon. For her, the gadget isn't the hardware, it's the data layer.
That sounds incredibly disciplined. It's like applying professional rigor to your personal life. What about Sharon Mandell?
Sharon is a different philosophy entirely, a deliberate retreat from the digital world.
So she prefers to be away from tech?
Completely. She spends time baking or doing ballet. Her favorite gadgets are either a thermopin for cooking.
Very tangible, measurable results.
Exactly. Or her Alexa, but only for these super specific things like IoT controls in her backyard. She mentioned a custom setting for lights and sprinklers they call the fountain run.
The fountain run, I like that. So we have total digital escape, intense data tracking, and then micro-automation.
Right.
The thread here, I think, is discipline. They're all optimizing systems. And that brings us right to the biggest challenge, AI.
It's a perfect segue. Elvina Antar kicks off the conversation with this incredibly high bar.
Yeah.
She basically says AI is eating software, and ultimately AI will save the world.
Whoa, that is a massive claim. Is that just, investor talk, or does she really see it as a humanitarian tool?
No, she backs it up. She sees it as the single biggest breakthrough for scientific advancement.
Like new medicines.
New medicines, material science, tackling climate change models. The scale of the opportunity, in her view, is just genuinely enormous.
Okay, but how do you get from saving the planet to, running a quarterly budget? How does that translate to enterprise strategy?
She grounds it in productivity, generating real, profound, and meaningful outcomes. It's about working smarter. But the core challenge she points to isn't the tech itself.
It's the people.
It's the expectations, the expectation shift that AI is creating. And this is so crucial for you to get.
What does that mean, specifically, a shift in expectations?
AI tools are creating a new normal for instant access, instant answers. She argues that self-service is now the absolute baseline.
For customers and employees?
Both. We are past the point of submitting a ticket and waiting 2 days. People now expect to help themselves right now with accurate information.
Which means every single role, from HR to finance to IT, has to completely rethink how they deliver services.
Exactly. The whole support model is fundamentally broken. The revolution isn't the code, it's the service delivery model.
And that's why the blueprint from Mira Rajavel is so important, because it tackles that expectation shift head on.
It does. Let's get into it.
So Palo Alto Networks was already a heavy user of, let's say, traditional machine learning.
Oh, yeah. Thousands of ML models in their firewalls and their security tools. But generative AI was different.
So how did they approach it as an organization?
They knew they needed a new strategy, a hybrid one, and they moved incredibly fast. This was back in late 2022. They went with both a top-down mandate and a bottoms-up innovation drive.
Okay, let's start with top-down. What does that look like? I mean, it's more than just telling people to go use ChatGPT, right?
Way more. It was built on education and accountability. They immediately set up these monthly AI days for their top 60 to 70 leaders.
And how did they pick those leaders?
This is key. It wasn't just by title, it was by their attitude, their ability to actually drive change. And they brought in outside experts, big names from IBM Watson, from Google, to educate the whole company on what was possible.
So they're leveling up their leadership first.
Exactly. And they set up crystal clear ownership. Mira, as CIO, was accountable for enterprise AI. So internal stuff, HR, finance, IT.
And the product side.
The chief product officer was accountable for product AI.
Yeah.
That clear split prevents the confusion you see in so many other companies.
That makes a ton of sense. Okay, now let's talk about bottoms up, because this is where you can see real money driving innovation.
Yes, the AI Mastermind Challenge. It's a great model for anyone listening. They didn't just ask for ideas.
They put money behind it.
Real money. $25,000 for each of the top 5 ideas and $10,000 for the next 10.
That is a significant carrot. But you have to wonder, doesn't that prove that innovation isn't just happening organically? Seemed like an expensive way to get employees to do their job.
It's a fair question, but from their view, the cost was totally justified by the speed and the scale of the results.
How many applications did they get?
Over 600 in 4 weeks.
Oh.
The challenge wasn't just about the money. It gave people a protected space and, senior sponsorship to run with an idea.
And the result was 7 key initiatives, including 4 new product lines building out co-pilots.
A staggering return. But the enterprise goal was even crazier. A 90% ticket reduction across IT, finance, and HR.
90%? That sounds like marketing. How did they justify a number that big?
Well, it was necessary. They're a 20,000-person company, and they were submitting something like 480,000 internal tickets a year.
Wow. That's almost 25 tickets per employee.
Exactly. It's a huge drag on productivity. If AI couldn't fix that, then the investment just wasn't worth it.
Okay, so they set this massive goal. What did they actually learn about Gen AI's limits when they tried to implement it?
This, for me, is the biggest so what of this whole deep dive. They learned very quickly that while Gen AI is amazing for retrieving and summarizing information,
Right.
on its own, it could only directly solve about 20% of those tickets.
Wait, hold on. Only 20%. If the tool can only solve 1/5 of the problem, how do you bridge that massive gap to get to 90? It sounds like the technology failed.
Well, and that's the thing. It wasn't a failure of the technology. It was a failure of the process.
The process.
The process. Gen AI can find information, but if that information is in 3 different silos, or the process for, say, a travel expense has 5 steps that shouldn't even exist, the AI just spits out the complexity faster.
So to get to that 90%, they had to go back to old school IT discipline.
Exactly. They had to couple Gen AI with intense process simplification and automation. That other 70% was closed by saying, okay, before the AI even touches this, let's cut out 3 useless steps, standardize the last 2, and then automate the decision.
So the AI becomes an amplifier for good processes, not a bandage for bad ones.
You got it. Think about employee onboarding or a complex IT access request. The AI can summarize the existing documentation, but if the documentation is terrible, the AI is useless.
So you fix the documentation, you automate the identity check, and then Gen AI handles the last little bit.
That's it. It's the new tech amplifying the impact of old school discipline, and the timeline is just astounding.
What's the status on that 90% goal?
Mira reported that within 6 months, they were already 50% of the way there.
They cut their internal friction in half in 6 months.
Half a year. Just by combining the new tech with the, frankly, boring but necessary work of simplification.
That kind of rapid change leads us to a really provocative question that the moderator, Wendy Pfeiffer, asked. Is digital transformation, is DT even a thing anymore?
Right. Is it just an assumed state of being now?
And Sharon Mandell had, I thought, the perfect answer.
Yeah, she argued that DT is forever a thing, not a destination.
Mm.
She points out that, 10 or 15 years ago, a lot of companies were still on paper.
The bar was just lower.
The bar was so much lower.
Yeah.
But the real difference now is we recognize these technology waves are just coming faster and faster. You finish one, and the next one, cloud, security, now AI is already here.
I love the analogy she used for this, the mountain climbing one.
It's so good. She describes DT like climbing a mountain. Each transformation, like moving to the cloud, gets you to a new vista.
A new peak. You stop, you celebrate.
You look around. But the second you do that, you see another higher, more challenging peak up ahead. It's a never-ending journey.
And the climbing requires more than just buying new software. It requires business reform.
Absolutely. For her, DT is about breaking silos. It's about changing how IT works. The line between IT and the business has to become, as she says, less and less distinguishable.
The technology is just the vehicle for the current climb.
The business model reform is the forever thing.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you listening to this? We started with this huge, high-level strategy, AI will save the world, and we ended with a really powerful, practical blueprint.
Yeah, AI is this world-changing revolution. But the real results, like cutting organizational friction by 50% in 6 months, that comes from disciplined execution.
And the mundane work of process simplification.
The two core takeaways are really clear. First, all that executive excitement about AI has to be backed by tangible programs, financial incentives, like that mastermind challenge.
Right, to harness that bottom-up innovation.
And second, these advanced AI tools are not magic. They need the traditional discipline of process review to have maximum impact. The AI only shines when the process underneath it is already efficient.
So the CIOs we listen to basically establish that professional growth, whether it's for an organization or for yourself, it's a continuous, never-ending journey toward a higher vista.
Which leaves a final thought. What area of your own learning or your professional development are you currently treating like a destination, a mountain you can just conquer and be done with, when really it should be viewed as a forever thing? Something to think about as you get ready for your next climb.